Now to the crisis in Gaza as top diplomats from the U.S. and the UN try to work out a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas. The top Hamas leader is signaling that his group won't agree, though, to an unconditional truce.
Hamas has said it first wants guarantees that Israel and Egypt will significantly ease a 7-year border blockade of Gaza. Meanwhile, for the second day in a row, the Palestinian death toll today topped 100 and reached at least 566 overall. Israel's military says 7 Israeli soldiers were killed today in clashes. That raises the overall Israeli death toll to 27, including 2 civilians. We do have team coverage on this tonight.
Rick Albin has been in contact with lawmakers finding out what the U.S.'s next move is. But first, we want to go live to Mark Thompson, who's in downtown Grand Rapids tonight, where both pro-Israel and pro-Palestinian protesters are rallying tonight. Mark?
Yeah, good evening, Sue. Things wrapped up here about 20 minutes ago. It was a peaceful protest. You had pro-Palestinians on this side. You had pro-Israelis on the other side. Now, this is a new conflict, but even going back decades, some of the same issues remain. Israeli occupation versus Hamas missile strikes into Israeli territory. About the only sides that the thing that the two sides could agree upon tonight is that they both want the violence to end. Chanting with signs, protesters on both sides of the Israeli conflict in Gaza made sure their voices were heard. According to Palestinian officials, shells from an Israeli tank attack hit a hospital in the Gaza Strip this morning, killing 4 people and wounding 60 others. The latest numbers show more than 500 Palestinians have died in the conflict, as many as 70% of them civilians.
Civilians bombed in their homes, 300 yesterday. Hospitals are being shelled.
25 Israeli deaths have been reported, a vast majority of them Israeli soldiers. However, Israel reports as many as 2,000 Hamas rockets have been fired into Israeli territory.
Israel has been targeting the people who have been shooting the missiles out of Gaza.
U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry headed to Egypt this morning to try and work out a ceasefire in the region. This as President Obama addressed the conflict from the White House.
It now has to be our focus and the focus of the international community to bring about a ceasefire that ends the fighting and that can stop the deaths of innocent civilians, both in Gaza and in Israel.
And as far as the conflict moving forward, no timetable as of yet. Neither side appears to be backing down. Israeli officials say that the offensive will continue until their territory is secure from those Hamas missile strikes. And Hamas already turned down a ceasefire offer that was presented late last week. So we'll have to see how things develop in the weeks ahead. Reporting live in Grand Rapids, Mark Thompson, 24-hour News 8.
The fighting in Israel and Gaza has the attention of lawmakers in Washington. Unfortunately, this is not the first time they've seen this, and a solution is still not likely at hand.
24-hour News 8 political reporter Rick Albin talked with 2 of the Michigan delegation about their thoughts on this whole thing, Rick.
Yeah, and we've been here before. Senator Debbie Stabenow and Congressman Fred Upton have seen it all before. Hostilities between those who live in Gaza and the Israelis across the border. The causes of the conflict have been discussed in detail. The solutions, however, remain elusive.
There really hasn't been a solid peace. I mean, it comes and goes fairly frequently. I don't know what the answer is, but I know that you can't even get there unless you do the first step and you just ask both sides to stop.
As always, we are the ones to come in to attempt to bring sides together. I think this is extremely difficult, what is happening. Certainly Israel has a right to defend itself, and we also know that there's tremendous loss of life with the Palestinians as well as Israelis. It's a terrible, terrible situation.
As the senator points out, the United States, with others with influence in the region, have traditionally tried to broker a ceasefire or other agreement. Each has turned out, however, to be only temporary. Marley?